Hey folks, I'm Runae Lee, Head of Partnerships here at Finch. I'm joined today by Kevin Gaston, Head of Strategic Retirement Consulting at Vestwell. We're going to spend a couple of minutes picking his brain, seeing how the conference is going for him, for Vestwell so far. So Kevin, how are you doing today?
Doing great. It's a great day, beautiful weather. Vegas is very nice right now.
So before we dive into, I guess, the meat of the questions, could you tell me a little bit about your role and a little bit about Vestwell?
Yeah, so Vestwell is a holistic savings company. We are really trying to fix the savings gap issue in this country, and that means that we're looking in every direction that savings impacts a saver. Whether it's your workplace retirement, whether it's emergency savings, whether it's student loans, anything, HSA, ABLE, IRAs, anything that you can save to try and get a better hold of your financial stability, we're trying to make sure that that's something that we can help accommodate and make easier.
That's amazing.
And then for me, what that means is looking at all the different vehicles, of which, interestingly enough, we talk about them as products, but really they're tax codes. Section 401k, Section 529, all these different things. And how do we get them to blend the best and provide an experience to a workplace that's offering it, or to an individual, or to both, to make sure that they can actually do the things we want them to be able to do to be in a better spot.
Got it. So it sounds like you're in a really important client-facing role.
It's not as much client-facing, but it faces a lot of our partners that we work with very closely, whether it's TPAs, advisors, institutional partners, and then it's also working with our own firm, people there, to make sure that we can get these things stood up.
Awesome. So in the conversations that you're having with the rest of the retirement ecosystem, like, what do you think is the biggest challenge facing the retirement industry today?
So it's a couple of things. One, it used to be very much just one thing you focused on. We focus on K, we focus on ABLE, we focus on 403B. Now we have to look at everything across the whole, and that means you have to be kind of cross-trained on all these different things, and then how do they synergize? Where should they mix? Where shouldn't they mix? And how do you bring your partner up to speed so that when you work together, everyone's on the same page? And that is a challenge, because the second side of that coin is the regulatory environment and the legislative environment are changing rapidly. If you think of it this way, this is your fun trivia, the entirety of the original Employee Retirement Savings Income Act, aka ERISA, it's about 450 pages. So is Secure 2. So that literally doubled it. Secure 2 is almost as long as the entire book of rules that govern the entire world of ERISA. So when you have something like that come into play, how many times do we hear about different things coming in, being introduced into the legislature, or different rulings that impact us? All of that plays into how we have to continually stay ahead of things at a much faster pace than we did before.
Yeah, that all makes sense. I mean, I think Secure Act 2.0 is going to really make 401k and retirement savings just more accessible to more people.
I hope so. I think so too. Yeah.
And I love the way that Vestwell is one of the most tech-forward solutions that are out there. I guess I would love to learn more about how you're thinking about helping plan sponsors in terms of offering more plans at scale, but also providing a highly custom experience. Like, how are you optimizing for both those things, since they kind of seem contradictory?
They seem contradictory, but they really aren't, because a lot of the things that are customization are the heavy, what used to be called manual work, just the things you have to just dig in, just what I call tilling the garden labor. There's no way to get vegetables in the ground unless you dig the soil. Yeah. If someone shows you a tiller that can do it faster, then you can be more custom about spending time on the seeds, right? So if you think of it that way, we're using technology to take out the work that used to be the heavy lift. Payroll integrity, data collection, things that were high work, low reward, versus consultative work, which is still work, but much higher reward. So we use the technology to reduce the burden of what I would call the very manual administrative work, so we can increase our energies on things that are much more impactful to the sponsor and therefore to the savers that work there. So I think they do work together, because technology won't make the customization. It can, but it's much easier to say, let's make it easier for you to find an answer, so we don't have to spend as much time answering basic questions. For us, how many times do we get asked, what's the limit for 401k this year? And a human has to go and answer that, as opposed to, there you go. Thanks for asking. Here you go.
Yeah. I love that. I love how you're thinking about you leveraging technology to solve some of those pain points that honestly a customer can solve for themselves.
Right.
So that kind of like leads me to a hot topic.
Mhm.
Everyone's been talking about it.
Sure.
It's AI.
Yeah,
For those of
yeah.
you at home wondering, where are you seeing AI's potential to make the biggest efficiency gains for the retirement space?
I think it's down to a couple of things. The first thing it can do is it can really help with some, again, the nuts and bolts basics. So as an example, who reads their summary plan description? I can give you a quiz of how many people read it. Not many. However, let's say the SPD is built into a model where now when you go online and you ask, can I take a loan from this plan? It goes, yes, and your limit is this based on your balance that we already looked at. That's 15 minutes of a person's work to give them that answer, or it's a while to go through and pull that kind of thing up. That's one side, but where I think AI also really moves forward is once you do that, it can spot trends. Are we finding a space where they're underserved because of something we didn't see? What I found interesting, and this is a recent AI thing, they asked AI to design a car without it ever knowing how to design a car, and it designed a completely different car than we would have ever designed. So it's those different viewpoints that AI can bring in. So I'm hoping at a base level, I know it's already solving a lot of basic participant questions, saver questions, sponsor questions. Where I'm excited about is saying, what will AI do next as far as spotting trends and things that only something that can meta-analyze a massive base of intel know quicker than we'll know, and then how do we use that to help continue closing the savings gap?
Yeah, I love that. I love how AI can analyze a huge set of data and unearth insights that previously it wasn't reasonable.
You never see them.
Right.
Exactly.
Less than 3/4 of American employees have access to a 401k plan today. And even fewer are actively participating, a little bit less than half of all U.S. employees. What can advisors, record keepers, and TPAs do to make retirement plans more accessible and to encourage participation?
So, big question.
Yeah.
But here's the way I see it. This is kind of where I look at it. You can't get to the top of a mountain if you don't have a stable base, right? The most stable base is, can I pay everything that might come up? So the reason I'm excited about holistic savings and looking at the big picture is, if I ask someone, so in my life, I've gone out to plans, done enrollments, said to someone, there's a big match, why aren't you doing it? And it's a tough question because that person doesn't want to tell you, well, I'm worried about whether or not I can afford my gas bill. I can't put 5% over here. Even if you match it double.
Right.
Because I'm still scared about this thing. So it allows us to say, so the way we address it is we need to meet people where they are in their financial journey. If you're not able to, if you're worried about having enough money to make ends meet or an emergency coming up, we need to open up an ESA for you. Once you're stabilized there, then the next question is, are you worried about you? Most people, especially like families and parents, are self-sacrificial. They're more concerned about their child's welfare than their own. Yeah. So now we have to say, are you worried about your kid being able to afford college? Right? So we have to keep finding where they are. So there's a person out there that says, I'm not stable with my income stream right now, and I'm more worried about my kid or my health. Maybe that path for them is ESA, 529, HSA, and then they're ready for K. So think of it like one of those old board games. You've got to get them to the right spots.
Yeah.
We are doing a lot to educate people. We are doing a lot to tell them the benefits. And everyone, I think anyone you talk to on the streets aware, if you don't have money when you get to retirement, something bad will happen. Like I think we've done a good job as an industry of letting people know that's a thing.
Yeah.
But it's taking that next deeper dive of what's keeping you from taking that step. And then trying to say, well, we've got something that will help you get that step. Now are you ready? Not yet. Then what's the next step? Now are you ready? Yes, I am. Great. Let's get you in. I think that's the solve we have to go for, is continuing to meet. And the reason I'm excited is because Secure 2, legislation, everything coming out is giving us more tools to get them where they are and get them where they need to be.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much for spending part of your day with us today. Yeah, I really enjoyed this conversation, and I love hearing about your experience and what Vestwell is doing to promote financial literacy and also to make retirement more accessible for everybody.
Definitely.
All right.
All right. Thank you. Absolutely.